Hello again, college football fans. My boys, my Bama, they came through for me and made me look like I knew what I was talking about a little bit. You know, that game, shave off 11 points for both teams, but it worked out pretty much exactly as I had predicted. Alabama got the lead early. It wasn't as big as I thought that they would get. The halftime lead wasn't quite the death sentence. 21-3 is, that's a burial ground, and 17-3, you're still breathing, but barely. But I said that they would make it whatever kind of game they wanted to make it, and that's exactly what they did. I said that we would see a ton of Brian Robinson, and that's exactly what we saw. One of the best running performances of the year. Everybody could see that coming with the line talent. Our defense was more stifling than I thought it would be, especially in the red zone. It was still, I predicted a 21-point, 38-17 victory, but wound up being 27-6, of course. And it was predictable. I mean, I think it went, anybody, even those guys that said, that Alabama would not pull away until the fourth quarter, they can say they're right too. But I mean, since they didn't score but 6 points, you could say that the game was over after Alabama got that first touchdown, and it pretty much was. And they did it business-like I said. They didn't have to show too much of their hand. As a matter of fact, they went in basically like dribbling, saying we're going to try to do it left-handed today, because first of all, we don't want to, show too much of our hand to whoever we're going to have to play in the national championship game. And, why go out there and, give it your best effort if you don't have to? And I'm not saying they didn't give their best effort, but I mean, that was a methodical coaching job, both sides of the ball. They, what do we do best? We throw. When we're at our best is when Bryce Young is throwing the ball all over the field and running around and all that kind of stuff. But what do? We go in and we run the ball like 8 times in a row to start off the game and run it right down their throat. And, after you saw that, you just knew it was over. Before it even really got started, Alabama had control of the game the entire time. 11 points. After they got up 14, 11 points was as close as Cincinnati was able to make it. And, a touchdown and a field goal later, and it's a 21-point victory. And they didn't even have to do it doing what they do best. They, like I said, they ran the ball on offense, and they played, zone, dropped guys back on zone. Their bread has been buttered all year on, and the entire Nick Saban era on man-to-man and, pressure on the quarterback. And, not to say that Cincinnati didn't do a pretty good job keeping Will Anderson and company off of Ritter, but that wasn't as imperative for this game plan as it normally is, and that's not what Alabama hangs their hat on, but that's what they did because they knew they could get away with it. And, like I said in the Georgia review game video, that, they went in. I don't think Georgia had to go in breathing the fire that they were breathing to beat that Michigan team, but they did. They laid it out. They laid everything on the table in that game, and Alabama did not. And, I just still think that, Georgia was ahead of schedule. They had second and shorts, and most of his big throws were on first down. And of course, they had the lead the whole time. Little to no adversity in that game at all. So, in Alabama, if there was any adversity, it was just because they were kind of toying with them, to be honest. The play of the game for Alabama was a 3rd and 16, which you didn't think that they had a chance to convert that. And then they, Bryce Young had guys in his face. He was throwing on the run, and, Jameson had to catch it in traffic and still run a little ways for the first down, but they still did it, If Georgia's in a 3rd and 16 against Alabama, what do you think their chances of converting it are? I mean, that's the thing. Alabama, they can win when they're not playing their best. They can win doing what they don't do best. They can win, they can get down 10 in the SEC championship game and then just wipe that away like it never even happened. What's Georgia going to do if Alabama gets up 10 early in the game? Stetson Bennett is not going to be able to get you out of any kind of hole. He's never proven that he can do anything when he's under duress. And, you know, I do expect Georgia's defense to play better in the national championship game than they did in the SEC championship game. But I still don't think it's going to be enough to slow down Bryce enough, especially if you get the lead early. And you know Alabama knows that. My biggest worry is that something happens to Bryce Young, that he gets COVID, and you know that the Georgia defense is going to be headhunting hardcore. I mean, I don't feel like that's out of line of me to say. I mean, they're going to be trying to put Bryce Young out of that game early, because why wouldn't they? You know, I mean, I hate to sound callous, but you know, that's the nature of things in the SEC. Don't fool yourself. Just because it's 2021, you know, it's still pretty cutthroat in that league, and those sort of practices, I'm sure. And I mean, and I don't think that they're going to try to like go in there and break his leg or anything, but they are definitely going to, you know, late hits, you know, ejections, those sort of things, you know. It may not have been said, you know, in so many words, but I guarantee you that there will be allusions made that, you know, ejections, if the right thing, under the right circumstances, you know, might be beneficial to the team, you know. And maybe I am being too callous, and that kind of stuff won't happen, but, you know, I just still believe that we live in a brutal enough world, and SEC football is one of the more cutthroat arenas in our society that we still have right now. And so something to be on the lookout for anyway. But yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover about Alabama's victory and how they look coming in. I'll have some videos reviewing the New Year's Day bowls coming out soon, and probably a couple of my thoughts on how this Georgia-Alabama game is going to turn out, and how I feel about the early lines and that sort of thing. But anyway, we'll be coming at you soon with a lot more. Thanks.